Are you having a shake?
It is a post-workout little concoction.
Nice. What's your mixture for that? What's your ingredients?
It's just a organic brand of post-workout and some creatine and some other little things. And I had my protein shake already, so that's always important right after your workout.
I've been having one of those every morning now. And I've been doing what you told me. Actually, I don't know if I should look at the screen and tell everyone there. Beth put me a little bit of I wouldn't call it a skill.
I gave you a push-up challenge, I would call it, yeah.
Yes, a challenge. So I've been doing push-ups every day now.
Nice.
I'll get there one day.
Gonna get these guns, yeah.
I want them so bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. No pain, no gain, Birdy. You'll get there.
What happened is, I've been, sometimes in the morning when I wake up and I stretch my arm, I've got like here and here and here, something, I can feel it stretching. Like, it's not painful, but it's like, I didn't feel it before and I didn't know I had things there. I thought it was all just skin.
Waking some things up, yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, well, I've woken up something because I didn't know anything was there.
You'll be seeing progress in no time. I think you've already surprised yourself with how strong you are. It's been fun watching your little updates on your running and stuff. That was really cool.
Oh, it's my favourite thing, but I've got shin splints now, and it's really, really painful. I
think a lot of us can relate. That sucks.
I'd like a little bit of a little cry on my last run when it was happening.
Oh.
It's really naughty, but I could feel the shin splints about nearly a month before I stopped running. And I didn't realise it was shin splints. I thought, oh, maybe I'm just not having a good run today.
Because you're a beast, yeah, just trying to push through the pain a little bit, and
yeah, I did, and it was naughty because now it really.
Now you're paying for it, yeah. I would assume so. Well, just keep at that upper body stuff while you're giving the lower body a break. And
I've done a bit of lower body. I've been doing I've got weights as well, so I've been doing weightlifting and squats and all that.
Oh, right on. What's your status over there? Around here in the United States, most gyms are opened up again. We have to wear like masks and social distance or whatnot like that. I know I'm in a really rural area, so a lot of people aren't following the rules. What's it like over there?
I think some gyms are open. I'm not sure what the deal with the gyms are. One of the things for me is that I was born with congenital rubella syndrome, and that affected my heart, my immune system, and my ears. So I'm actually profoundly deaf in one ear, and I had heart problems growing up. I died twice when I was a kid. And
no shit, that's crazy. Wow. You just get cooler and cooler. Like, how badass are you? Wow. So your immune system is
it's a little bit compromised. I wouldn't say, I don't know what the situation is with it really, because I haven't been checked up on for a while. So I've got all that health stuff going on in the background that I need to sort of get a gauge on, if that makes sense. I need to, I would feel comfortable if I got vaccinated, but I know the vaccine situation is quite controversial, especially online at the moment. So, but I think given my health complications, I think it would be a wise thing for me to do.
Probably best. Yeah, cool. You got weights at home and stuff, and
yeah. Once I've done that, though, I'll go in the gym. Because I'd be happy to go in the gym if I'm vaccinated. And
well, self-motivation is the key, right? And you've already got that, so.
Yeah, I've got loads of that. Well, sometimes on some things, on the things that I like.
Like me and deadlifting. Like, I just live for deadlift day, because that's the one thing that my body is really shaped to help me for, that I have a bit of an advantage because I have super long arms, or else everything else I'm at a disadvantage for that I do. So that's my thing.
I did a deadlift today.
What?
I did it with one kilogram weight.
Oh.
Held it and I went down. But it was all about making sure my posture was
nice form and doing
sure
things right, taking it slow, doing it right.
I actually got to say I enjoyed the deadlift one, because I'm like you, I've got extraordinary long.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So like it makes it a little bit easier and it's fun. And
Yeah, because I can touch my toes. I can touch my toes, so I shouldn't have a problem doing stuff in that sort of motion, you know. But
right.
yeah, it's a weird one because you've got to keep your back straight and your hips have got to go out, haven't they? And I don't usually think about my hips.
Yeah, and when I deadlift, I'm assuming you did a conventional, so your feet were kind of straight up and down, and I spread my legs really wide. Like it's called a sumo deadlift, and it's kind of controversial, but it's not breaking the rules, and it's not necessarily harder. It's usually easier for women than men because, you know, our hips are shaped differently. Again, those biological differences.
I hate those pesky female people getting it.
But because it just, if you think about it, it helps you be a little lower to the ground. So your arms get even lower when you spread your legs. So then it's less distance that you have to raise the bar. So kind of fun. Maybe you'll have to change it up next time and do some sumo deadlifts.
That's a good trick. I'll give it a go. I like having long arms though, because when I was doing kickboxing, I've got a friend who used to be a fighter, and he was doing personal training with me, and he said that with my arms, I don't have to be near somebody to punch him.
Right. Oh, I've always wanted to fight someone. I took kickboxing classes, and my husband was like, "I don't know."
I'm not surprised that he's scared of me doing that because he's probably going to be a fucking beast.
It would be fun just to get some aggression out sometime. Yeah, we do have a punching bag at my gym that I like wrap up my fists and take advantage of sometimes.
It's definitely, I think there's some really good emotional and psychological benefits.
Yeah, well, certainly. And something like primitive about it too, like
there's just really good. It's good for you, I think. And I've not fought with kickboxing, but when I was in the ring and I was being trained up, I got told off for going in there. If I was stressed out, I got told off. It's like, you need to relax, shake it off, relax your shoulders, all this stuff. And it's really good for me to manage my stress, because it's not about just going, like you've actually got to be precise with it and make sure that your movements are correct, and you're protecting your face, you're protecting your head, you're protecting yourself. It's really,
there's a lot more to it than you'd think, just like with powerlifting.
I didn't, well,
Seems simple,
I did know that because I did judo when I was a kid as well. And I forgot about this, but I used to compete in judo as well.
Really? Like when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go to competitions.
Oh, wow.
I totally forgot because I think I stopped doing judo when I was about 14, and I wanted to hang around with boys and smoke cigarettes instead.
There were a few years of my younger years that I raced go-karts, and that was a mainly boy sport. And I was really good at it. And in one of the leagues, I was the national champion for points. It was fun.
So good.
But a lot of us, didn't fit the box or were tomboys, however you want to say it. And here we are, we're just average women, we grow out of it. This rapid onset gender dysphoria that's sweeping across the world is so crazy. And I'm so thankful for women like you with your beautiful art, helping raise awareness of it and giving women a safe place to feel like they're on a platform.
And you as well. Doing the Save Women's Sports thing is phenomenal.
I hope it's creating a safe space for athletes and coaches and parents to speak up. And I think we're seeing that. We have 50 states in the United States, and over 30 of them have now introduced legislation. So that's the beginning attempts to make a law to protect female sports. Well, and it's good. So awesome.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that just then. I was like, where's this going?
And some of them are even called the Save Women's Sports Act, and it's so fun. So I've been traveling across the country testifying at these hearings to try and help these bills become laws. And I am an average person, and that's what I really, really want people to know about my story is that I'm a mom, I'm a housewife, I live in rural Minnesota. I live in the same town I was born in. Of course, I flew around a little bit, but I'm still here, and I'm just an average American citizen who kind of felt like there's nothing I could really do to change things. And so I'm like living proof that one person's voice can make a big difference. You just have to be stubborn, and you can't give up, and you just have to speak the truth. And there's a whole lot of power in that.
I think so. I think there's one of the weirdest things about a lot of this movement is it's all about being your true self. And I can't think of anything more removed from being your true self than going through the cosmetic industry to try and find yourself.
Yeah, putting yourself as a medical patient for life. Well,
I was
see how
going to ask
that's
as well how you got into this.
Okay, so back to the beginning. So I'm just a housewife, and I started doing CrossFit. I think a lot of people are familiar with that now, and that's where I fell in love with the barbell and powerlifting, and started really concentrating on training for that for a couple of years before I entered into this big sanctioned Minnesota Women's State Championships, and I was really excited to get introduced into this small community of powerlifting, and I was just devastated when this male had this whole group of people, and they threw a temper tantrum basically because he wasn't allowed to compete in the women's state championships. And that threw me down the rabbit hole. And when I started speaking up about how I thought it was just not even just unfair, just the fact that they like ruined the event for everyone. Like, you would have had more respect from me if you would have just like held up your flag, had a moment of silence, and gone on with it, right? But they just really disruptively protested and chanted at us that we should share the platform with them. And anyway, I got home, I got harassed for speaking out. I started SaveWomenSports.com. That was about 2 years ago.
Wow.
And now we're making laws. And so I went from keyboard warrior to traveling the country. It's pretty crazy, and been in some pretty major publications, and even starting to get into some more liberal media. I mean, we're not turning down anyone. It just so happens that we're not given a seat at the table in this discussion often, as you know.
Amazing. That's so good.
And I never had experience in like speech or drama or any like stuff like that in high school. Like, I'm just really an average person trying to find my way. Every time I get on a plane, I don't know what to expect when I get to these hearings. And the United States are really complicated because within the states, each one of them operates differently. And then even the committees within the chambers operate differently. So, and it's a lot of under the table, you know, sometimes we only get a day's notice of these hearings. How are we supposed to get professionals to come and testify to help make laws if we only have a day's notice of when the hearing is?
Not with because when we went to America, my partner didn't realize how big it is. So in New York, and he didn't know that California was literally the same distance from New York that we just traveled from.
That you just really, wow, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is huge.
If you've got a day's notice, how are ordinary people supposed to be able to travel across?
Exactly. And not just ordinary people, but if you're expecting like a medical professional or a coach or an athlete, how can they take off in their schedule? Even with a few days notice, it's so hard. Thankfully, with COVID, a lot of things have been online through Zoom. So we really try to take advantage of that, and just doing old school things like sending them postcards and handwritten thank yous when they do support us. And we're just really grassroots getting it done. And that's how it's going to get done. You have to have conversations with your friends, your family, the coaches. That's how this is going to start, is just get the word out that it's not okay to erase women.
Yep, that's what I wanted to make these YouTube videos for, because I very much feel like what's happened with me in the circles that I'm in, that I've been shut out, and I'm not, you know, nobody knows what my views are or where I'm coming from with this, or even though I've been shouting about it for years, a lot of people are making a lot of assumptions. So I thought if I make these videos, then they're there for people to see. And with lots of people, I'm having these conversations with, but I'm trying to keep it quite natural as well and just have normal conversations with people. But this is in it as well, because this does come up in our everyday conversation. It's everywhere now. We can't avoid it.
Exactly. And if we speak in the truth, like I said, it holds a lot of power, and we just have to stick with that, because in the end, they're really just coming at us with these like personal attacks and silly name calling, like bullies in grade school. And
yeah, it is like being in primary school again.
And a lot of these males identifying as females are like mean girls, and it's just name calling. In the end, it's all they have, because the science backs us up. It's not even like it takes the science. It's common sense for us to see that men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. Men shouldn't be in women's rape crisis shelters. Men shouldn't be in women's wards of hospitals. Like, duh. Homeless shelters. Where do we stop? Like, it's common sense. Prisons. Why are we letting men in women's prisons? Like, the women isn't a costume. It isn't a hormone level.
The women isn't a hormone level. That one really got me. I thought that was really, really good, because I've had that among the list of things I've got wrong with me. I've also got PCOS, and I've seen people online have actually directly said to me that because of that I'm a man, or that I'm a man pretending
no
to be
shit,
a
that's
woman,
so stupid.
Or that PCOS is a trans woman thing, so I'm a trans woman.
Oh my goodness.
And then people trying to say that I'm intersex, or I've got intersex disorder, and
that's so wrong. No, you just have your hormones at a little different level. It's not anything like that. No, and
it's an ovary disorder, if anything, you know.
And when it comes down to it, there are some women's organizations that are looking at this at a hormone level stance, like we should be looking at testosterone, and that's just not the answer. These differences between male and female, they're evident at birth, and it's not like they just magically appear at puberty because of testosterone. In the United States, we recognize it from age 6 in our presidential physical standards test that most kids take growing up. And so it's common knowledge. And it's not like testosterone should be a deciding factor.
No, I don't think so, because otherwise what that would mean is that when my PCOS is fluctuating and I have more testosterone in my system, then I'm a man, but when it's not, I'm a woman. So I'm like,
it's just ridiculous
between the sexes.
It's just ridiculous to say a woman is a hormone level, and then to like the whole woman is a costume thing. How is this not much different than blackface, them putting on woman? It's seen that just crazy, but yet I'm being called a racist just for wanting to save women's sports, for biological females. That's somehow racist.
Honestly, you don't have to do much to be called a racist. I got called a racist when I said locally that I think the toilets in local pubs should not be unisex. They shouldn't be gender neutral or whatever. They should be.
Excuse me, I don't want some drunk asshole walking in, because that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
I'm not saying that all transgender people are a threat or something, but there are people who are a threat that will take advantage of these rules, and then it takes away our right to say it's not right.
Yeah, because you're giving all men a pass to go in there.
Yeah.
And so I said that I think, these need to stay segregated. And because I used the word segregated, I had to go at, because segregation is an outdated racist method that we don't use anymore. So
that's all I can do is try and twist your words and gaslight people. That's all they're trying to do, is these psychological attacks. It's so
it's
absurd,
because even just saying that a trans woman isn't a woman is now being seen as racist.
Well, and it's getting people kicked off of social media. They're losing their jobs. I have athletes that are told by their sponsors, if you don't shut up about this, we're not going to sponsor your team. That's tens of thousands of dollars of gear. And they're basically giving gag orders, these sponsors and corporate.
But that's not fair,
entities.
because the girls are going to lose.
In the end, they have to look.
And they have to be quiet about it.
Women are economic powerhouses, and they're shutting us out of our spots. And
Half the planet.
It's going to have very extreme consequences in the future. And they are so concentrated on the immediate, profits over people. And it's just nonsense. I was at a state legislator. I don't know if you saw the Texas incident. I was in Texas testifying for a hearing. And like I mentioned, each one of these hearings is different. So I have several different testimonies, like a 5-minute one, a 3-minute one. This one happened to be a 2-minute time slot. I prepared for 3, but they cut us down to 2 minutes as soon as the testimony started. And right before it started, there was a legislator that tried to explain to us that there are 6 biological sexes. This gentleman had a Harvard degree in education policy and tried to explain to everyone, tried to basically mansplain 6 sexes. So I had to...
This isn't a real thing. This is political.
Yeah, it so is. It's turned into this whole political... It's an agenda driven by some sick ideology. And it was really evident that day. And so I had to erase part of my story so that within my minutes of time, I could correct his bullshit and clarify the lies.
I think that's a tactic. I think that's done on purpose. When people
they are. They're gaslighting people. But they totally...
They're doing it to waste your time so that you can't get your point across.
Exactly.
You're having to spend your time...
So I had a 2-minute deadline, and I saw now when I clipped out my speech that I went close to 3 minutes. I went after. I didn't care. Like, you can drag me out. I'm going to get my point across. This is not right. I'm not going to let some Harvard graduate try to tell people this. And that's it. They're trying to use their status and their degrees to lie to people and get people to comply with the lie. Well, I'm sorry. These men are not women. The emperor has no clothes on, people. It's time to call it out. These are freaking men, and none of them have intentions of having bottom surgery. The ones that do actually have compassion for women. Most of them.
Do you want to know a secret? Well, it's not really a secret, but do you want to know a story?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't like the Emperor's New Clothes because I didn't understand the story. I didn't know why people didn't just say that he's naked.
Right? It's hard to understand as a child. What the hell is wrong with people?
When my mum and dad wanted to read it to me, I'd be like, no, I don't want that book. I don't like all the people in it because I don't understand. I just didn't understand. And then it was actually a few years ago with my partner, actually. He explained the story to me and I was like, oh, that's why I don't like that book. Because I'm bullshitting. So I just didn't.
It's really similar or Orwellian. Like 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. I'm sorry. Like a man with a lower testosterone level is not a woman.
Have you seen the arguments that 2 + 2 actually does equal 5?
Are you kidding me? Are there really people out there trying to argue that right now?
There's some boffins, some academic boffins that are...
What's a boffin?
A boffin is like...
I'm a dumb American here, Birdy. Come on.
Sorry, it's an English word for a nerd.
Oh, okay. Noted.
There's some boffins out there, academic boffins, that are arguing that 2 + 2 doesn't always have to equal 4. And James...
Since when does math not have rules?
Well, James Lindsay, I think he started it because he put it up as a joke, like satirical, but it took off and people started taking it really seriously and were making the case for how 2 + 2 doesn't always equals 4.
Hey, Birdy, did you know the Earth is flat?
Well, I think that makes sense, you know. No, it doesn't really.
No. It's so similar. All these different silly things. It's like little cults. They're so entrenched into this indoctrination.
The gaslighting of it is really insidious, because I've been called a flat earther for saying sex is immutable and that people can't change their sex. And people go to me, "Oh, all right then, you flat earther, get out of here, thicko," like that. Well, that's the voice I imagine they're saying it in. It's my voice, but effective.
Oh, well, how do you know they're not Minnesotan, don't you know? Maybe they talk like this.
Well, maybe.
I love our two accents.
Yeah, we've got weird accents, I suppose. Because your American accent is, I can't always tell the difference between American accents unless it's like really extreme.
The southern and the northern, like, I think that's kind of easier to tell.
In England, pretty much every 30 minutes that you drive, you'll get a new accent.
I've noticed that there's a lot of different slangs, and hard to catch on when you start looking into your TV shows and stuff. But
yeah, in Essex, where I'm from, we've pretty much got we've got our own words and everything.
I'm buffing, yeah.
So I'm not cool enough to know all the slang, so.
Oh, I don't think they're.
I was going to ask you as well. How did you get into the weightlifting stuff?
So started and
get into that.
I started to find, first when I was like in high school and stuff, I just like played a year of that sport, did some basketball, softball, hockey, but never really like fell in love with everything. And then when I became a mom, I hit 30 and I was like, I kind of want to do something with myself. And so I had a goal of running a 5K in under 30 minutes. That was my goal. So that's what I trained for. And I pushed it and I got it, just barely, but I got it. And I was like, so what is next, right? Like, bring it on. But running wasn't like quite intense enough for me. Like, I am kind of a beast mode type person. And at CrossFit, I fell in love with that barbell. And I was like, to heck with doing burpees. Like, I just give me that barbell. And there's this quote that I saw early on that said, there's a beast inside of every woman that unleashes when you place a barbell in her hands. And that's what I feel like.
I can't wait. I do it because I get it. Like, I like running because it keeps me,
it's a good goal, right?
Well, it was a good goal. It got me into exercising again. It keeps me pretty balanced in terms of my anxiety and stuff. But running's never enough. Like, the last couple of runs I did before my shin splints really hurt, I was doing sprints. That might be why I hurt my shins, to be honest, because I was pounding the pavement.
Pushing it a little hard. Yeah. No pain, no gain.
When I went to kickboxing, there was nothing like it. After the first session, I was addicted. I knew I was addicted. I was like, this is like drugs for me. This is my drug. So, yeah.
It feels so good. There's so many benefits for us. And to think that males are now invading all these spaces and possibly pushing us out of these opportunities to play sports is just absurd. It's just absurd. But anyway, so...
Oh, sorry, I was going to carry
go
on
ahead.
the story. No, I was going to say, I'm hoping that the martial arts world is a bit more receptive to protecting females because it is so much contact.
Common sense.
Because
usually these tactical sports are, powerlifting, rugby, more tactical sport. They're catching on and they're protecting women. And
I hope so. I think it's going to be like when I join a new club to do martial arts, because I don't just want to do kickboxing anymore. I want to mix it up, but I do like punching shit. It's fun. But when I join a new club, I think one of the things I'm going to ask them about is what they're like about protecting women, because I want to know before I get in there. And it's a question that we all should be asking. But I want to add on to my story also of
what got me into powerlifting is during high school and through college, I dated a person that wasn't very nice to me and ended up mentally and ultimately physically abusing me and then stalking me. And it gave me some PTSD that it was really hard to get through. And powerlifting, like, really got me through that. It really, like, empowered me. And once my body became stronger, like, my mind got stronger. And I was like, well, I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to look around the corner anymore. I can lift 300 pounds off the ground. Come at me, bro, you know? So it's just been an amazing thing. And I really hope to inspire other women to do the same, because there's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to look manly by lifting weights. It's really, really hard work as a woman to put on muscle. I was telling you when we were talking about your push-up challenge, just how much protein and stuff I have to eat just to be able to try and pack on muscle and keep up my strength. Like, it's really a labor of love, and you have to dedicate your life to it. I was training 2 to 3 hours a day at the gym, like 5 to 7 days a week before this competition that got ruined, and just as much time in the kitchen making my meals. So it was really heartbreaking to have my chance to shine tarnished by these men basically having a temper tantrum. That's how I like to put it.
I don't think people think about this, because like my partner, he puts on muscles so easily. All he has to do is pick up a few things every day and eat a few less chocolate.
Because the Y chromosome in male programs their muscles to grow faster, stronger, and easier. They have more muscle cells, period. And there are more nucleuses to those cells. And so it just is consistently, no matter what your hormone level, that Y chromosome will always tell those muscles to, and also they have more dense muscles, but it stays longer. So like in a lapse of training, a male will retain their muscle longer, and female's muscle will fade away after a lapse in training. So they have all these different advantages, and it shouldn't even be just that. We are women. We're saying no to our spaces being invaded, and that should be enough. Like I said before, it shouldn't take a doctor, it shouldn't take medical professionals to defend this. And I think that's why my story is important, and it's been impactful with legislators. They're sick of hearing from lobbyists and from corporate people. Like, I'm just an average American citizen telling you that this is really going to impact people. When we have males out there setting female championships, and there's no asterisk to tell future generations that was set by a male, this is something really, it's really bad, and we need to do something about it.
The girls won't be able to, or the women won't be able to smash those records ever.
And they'll be like, what is wrong with me? How come I can't train hard enough? And if there is not a woman like you or me there to say, because that was a male, this is the end of women's sports, allowing males in, and I don't see why that isn't common sense. I wake up some mornings angry as shit because I have to do this, that I have to waste my time doing this, because that's basically what it is a common sense issue. And I don't know why more women aren't screaming. I think it's more of a awareness thing. So thankfully there are people like you and me helping wake people up. And, you know, President Biden woke people up when our law to protect female athletes, Title IX, he injected gender identity into it on International Women's Day.
I'm only because he's an idiot.
He is, but it took people's blinders off, and it woke people up. Like, oh, this is really going on, because most people don't realize the threat.
And just think it was going to happen, because I'm not saying.
Oh no!
I'm not saying I love Trump. There's a lot of issues with him, but I was not. I mean,
it's a whole can of worms. It's a whole can of worms that, like,
it was between Trump and Biden. I went, fuck.
As an American, like, all I'm going to tell you is I have traveled across the country in my vehicle, and I see Biden signs, and you know how big they are? They're this big. They're stuck in people's yards. It's this little sign, okay? There are Trump billboards all across America. Tell me who Americans truly supported, and I'll just leave it at that. There is a lot of nasty things going on in the American government. And as an average citizen, the things that I am seeing make me ill. There are not enough hot showers to wash off the sliminess I feel when I leave these state capitals at times. And you just have to laugh so you don't cry, because they have set this up for failure. The little people really don't have much chance unless you really work hard at finding where that hearing is. They've hidden things in plain sight. They haven't made it an easy process. And so that's what Save Women's Sports is doing. We try to get people gathered for these testimonies when we can, but it's a really toxic environment. And we've had whole teams of females ready to come and testify for these laws, and they bail out the night before or the morning of. They get scared. And we really need to show them that it's not scary. It's really liberating.
Because we had a local gathering, actually. Have you heard of Miranda Yardley?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, he's local to me, so he lives around the corner, not far. We're going to be running together eventually when
awesome.
we've fixed our legs. But he put on, he hosted, I think he just got a venue for women, and then the women turned up and talked, right? So he did us a favour doing that. And I had some friends that were going to come, and one of them in particular was texted and told not to go there, otherwise her job will be put at risk. And all this shit happens behind the scenes. So we don't know exactly why women say they'll be there and then don't turn up. It's not always just because they're scared. It's because they
get threatened, they get bullied, they get gag orders, and then I run into situations where I'm sitting in a legislator's office that says, well, in America, we're very bipartisan. We have two parties basically. And I'll be in the Democrats party, which is basically the people that don't support me. I'll be in their office and I'll be like, hey, I support your bill, Beth, but I can't support you because my party will hate me for doing it. And they shoo me out the door. And so it's not like we don't have support. There's just all this sliminess of, I can't support your bill because then they won't support my bill, and all that kind of, it's just, and a lot of it is the good old boys club.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on as well.
There's still a whole lot of that going on, and it's a crying shame. But, a girl's got to do what a girl can do, and I am making an impact.
I think you are, actually. I think you're doing a really good job. And I think Selena's done a good job as well.
Yeah, it's really sad their case got dismissed a couple days ago, but they are appealing it. So we'll see where it goes. But
rightly so, because I think it's really sad to see teenage girls having to stand up and do the work.
It shouldn't rest on their shoulders. No. Most definitely not. And I say that in my testimony, like it should not rest on their shoulders. And I represent women that are bullied into silence. And there's now women, there will be a court case hearing on Monday. Idaho was the first state in America to create a law to preserve female sports. That was the end of last year. They got sued by the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, for making that law. And they're having a hearing on Monday, and that will be live streamed. So you can find that on Save Women's Sports on our social media. We're going to be linking that live stream, and have your popcorn ready. I heard that Chase Strangio is going to be arguing. So there will be a female who has a male identity, quote, arguing that males should be allowed to compete in female sports.
Yeah, she's full of shit.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So it'll be interesting. So I'm not sure when you'll put this on, but we'll be watching that and rattle Chase's cage on Twitter a little bit.
I think so, because Chase is someone that amazes me because of how much shit they come out with, or she comes out with. It's absolute bollocks. And I don't know how anyone can say things like biological sex is not real with like a real serious face.
But when you come down to it, think of what this person's doing to their body. Like, they are basically a woman on steroids. Like, testosterone is just a form of doping. And so
I get annoyed about it because Sorry, I'm interrupting. But there is, I don't know how much truth there is to this. I need to look into it. But there is word going around that young girls taking testosterone causes them to have PCOS. So I get annoyed.
I would believe it. I mean, it's very similar, right?
To yourself, because
why? Exactly.
It's a serious.
I've heard after so many years of testosterone, your ovaries start atrophying as well as your uterus, which can be very, very painful. Let's start taking it there. Let's open up. You're drinking and swearing. They have very, very painful orgasms after taking this testosterone.
Well, that's something that can happen with PCOS as well. And one of the things with PCOS, when I finally got my diagnosis, because you know how it is with the medical neglect of women, took me 7 years to get a diagnosis.
So sorry.
But when I got my diagnosis, one of the first things they warned me about was the increased risk of diabetes, heart attack, stroke, osteoporosis, and various forms of womb ovary cancers. And I was like, why the fuck are these girls doing this to themselves?
I don't think they're told. I really, really, really don't think they are told.
And you know what? My testosterone levels, they're naturally higher than they should be, but only slightly. And I'm not all that risk. But I think it was in Abigail Schreier's book, the amount of testosterone these girls are taking is significantly higher than what even men have in their bodies.
Some of them very much so. Yes, it is out of control because some of them too are taking it black market. So then how do you really know what level, what dosage, or what you truly are just putting in? And by the way, I have it handy and happen to have it right here. Abigail Schreier.
I love it.
Yeah, she's just been incredible. And, you know, she has been a defender of women's sports since day one. She's been one of the only women to step up. And she took on a really heavy battle on Fox with J.C. Cooper and Rachel McKinnon, a.k.a. Veronica Ivory, a.k.a. whatever.
He's full of shit as well.
Professor of... What was that dissertation?
Professor of bullshit.
Yeah. Reasonable assertions and why you don't need to know what you're talking about was their dissertation. Like, exactly. Professional bullshitter. But, yeah, so... Abigail's amazing. There's serious issues with rapid onset gender dysphoria. It's all branches to the same tree of protecting women's sports, protecting female spaces in general. And it's time for women to put their stake in the ground and speak up because it doesn't cost anything to use your voice, to like a Facebook post, to retweet a tweet, to heart it, you know, just get involved.
I don't think it costs anything, and I actually think everything that happens is worth it. And like, I do think it costs something in terms of people are scared about losing their social circles or their job and things like that. But I think it's worth it. But that's easy for me to say because I'm my own boss. And,
right. But if you are scared of losing your social media, like, use your pocketbook. I hate to say it, I'm not that type of person usually, but give donations to people like me. Buy your art to help you continue carrying forward. There's simple things you can do, even if you're afraid to speak up, that can help uplift the people that are speaking up so that we don't burn out and we can continue to shine a light on this shit.
That's a really good point, because I do think people, I mean, I can only wonder how people like Posey Parker feel. She must feel burnt out sometimes, because sometimes it feels like you're shouting into space.
You know, she has been a warrior for women for so long. She is so fierce. And I also respect and admire her and consider her a mentor. I probably wouldn't be as strong and as confident as I am now if it wasn't for women like her creating a space. And I was really fortunate to hang out with her for a little while in New York, and it was some of the best time ever. And it really helped me boost me along.
She's not saying anything that isn't true. She's just saying it out.
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
Magdalene Burns was good for that as well, and Megan Murphy's good for that. She's really
I just did Megan Murphy's audio podcast, which I'm really excited about.
great.
I was reaching up over here on my wall. I'm in my basement, by the way, in my little corner studio, but I have a quote
as well.
I have a quote here from Magdalene Burns. Can I read it to you?
Go for it.
So it says, unless you're going for a full-scale revolution, you need to focus on a single-issue approach. The single-issue approach allows you to make alliances which suit your cause. You don't have to bring together a bunch of people and figure out how to get them all to agree on everything all the time. So that's the activist approach that I think respects for women, especially given that we don't have much power. Magdalene. And I also love her quote, and I have your shirt that says, I'd rather be rude than a fucking liar.
Yeah, I think that hits to the heart of the problem, because a lot of people say, one of the biggest criticisms I get, because people can't form their arguments properly, so they'll say to me, why do you have to say it though? Because I'll say, well, you know, it's true that humans can't change sex. Yeah, but why do you have to say it? Why do you have to say, why do you have to be so horrible? And why can't you just be considerate and be nice?
The time to be nice is so done, isn't it, Birdy? Yeah.
Like to people who say the earth isn't flat, we don't say, but why do you have to say that? You're upsetting all the flat earthers over there.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation that we are in.
Definitely. I would say so. So I was wondering, because you've got to go pick your kid up soon, haven't you?
Yeah.
So should we wrap this up in a
Let's just do one like down the road, like in a month or something like that. Like, or when I have some like big revelation or something.
Yes. I'd love to keep him.
Feel free when you're editing to steal my clip of that Texas bullshit and stick it in there, because I would love more people to see that, of that guy saying that there are 6 genders. It's on the Save Women's Sports YouTube channel, and then it has my rebuttal right after it.
Brilliant.
So,
yeah, I'll do that.
Thing I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6, which honestly, Representative Hefner surprised me too. With you now. Surprised me too, because I am not well versed in this issue area. I'm not a scientist. I'm a politician, a lot worse than a scientist.
Who could not be here today, and several scientific studies proving that the male advantage is immutable and that there in fact are 2 sexes. They are dimorphic, XX, XY. The other quote sexes mentioned are disorders of sexual development that are variants of XX or XY chromosome. They are still disorders of male or female. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.